All right, well, thank you for joining Lisa and Simon. We're going to talk about retailers and supply chain issues. But before we get started, if we could just have you each introduce yourselves and kind of what you do with Spins and how you work with retailers. Lisa.
Yep, I'll go ahead and go first. My name is Lisa Labuda. I am part of the retail recruitment team. So I work specifically with retailers of all sizes, both on the pet side as well as in regional grocery. And I really am here to help in any way I can.
Hey everybody, I'm Simon Cutts. I'm Director of Retail Partners here at Spins. I work with some of our key retail partners out there, understanding their data, providing insights, and really working with them to grow their sales. Prior to Spins, I spent 30 years on the ground at retail, building programs, building sales, and excited to talk to you today.
Great, and I'm Dan Buckstaff, Spins CMO, and today we're going to do a deep dive into these topics. All right, well, Lisa and Simon, thank you for taking some time today to talk about what's happening in the world of retailers. It's making national news. The president even talked about it yesterday. So Simon, could you tell us, sort of give us an overview of what is happening in the world of logistics and supply chain and how it's impacting retailers?
Sure. Thanks, Dan. Right now, it's got to be one of the most fun times of the year to be a retailer. The seasons have changed, summer is over, the dog days of summer are over, and fall is here. Shoppers' patterns change, and they're looking for different items. Unfortunately, the fragile supply chain has already, it got broken during the pandemic, no news there. But 18 months later, we're seeing just a whole cocktail of issues all piled together, whether it's the inflationary pressures, ingredient supply issues, the labor issues, as well as just freight issues. All of that's come together, and how that's manifested at retail. A quick survey of our retail partners out there, they're seeing fill rates from the major suppliers at about 75%. And to put that in perspective, that's the worst it's been since Q2 of 2020. So yeah, we're almost back to as bad as it was at the height of the stock up period during the pandemic. So, and to put that into perspective, if a retailer is ordering 4 cases right now, they're getting 3. And that's manifesting itself as out of stocks at the shelf level. And that's starting to build that fear again within the consumer base. When they start seeing empty shelves, they start wondering if it's time to stock up again, and that only perpetuates the issue. So we're seeing bad fill rates out there, and that's worrying the consumer base.
Thanks, Simon. And so, low fill rates with the empty shelves as a result of that. Lisa, I know that you work with a lot of retailers. As they face this problem, what do you see them doing, and kind of how do you help them kind of navigate this?
Yeah, so a couple of things that a lot of the retailers are finding is when they're able to, it has been a logistical nightmare. The last 18 months have been a logistical nightmare for virtually every retailer. So one of the things that they're able to do in a matter of 3 to 5 clicks within the Spins Satori platform, they're able to go in and they can plug in that product that they're having a challenge in receiving in their stores. They can then look and see what are some other products that are very similar in those attributes, very similar in a price point, and they can literally go down the line until they can find some products that can fill their shelves. So now when a customer comes in, instead of seeing bare shelves or empty spaces within the store, they're able to now be able to communicate to their consumers and say, okay, this is very similar and similar in price point, similar in attributes, whether we're referring to pet or we're referring to regional grocers, they all are facing that same challenge, but by being able to offer very similar items, the consumers are now able to sample some other products, and the retailers are happy because the retailer is not having to turn away the customer and having the customer be frustrated with them.
That's the savvy retailer right there, Lisa. I was talking to one of our retail partners, Dan, and they said, yeah, allocations we thought would be gone by this point. And allocation is where a manufacturer allocates how much everybody's going to get. So no matter how much you order, you only get what is, your fair share, if you will. But the savvy retailers out there are really working around those allocations, as Lisa said, and looking for the alternative items. And it could be something that wasn't available 18 months ago. It could be something brand new to the market. And that right there is the difference between the retailers that are truly growing and succeeding during these times and the other ones who are basically waiting for the supply chain to fix itself.
Yeah, and one other thing too, following on that same line, Simon, is a lot of the retailers also are able to look and see what are those new innovations, what are those new products that are coming into the market, because they can see, are they performing well? Are they not performing well? Do I want to add those into my assortment because they seem to be performing really well? I think I may want to contact some of these new products and add them in because consumers are looking for new options. They're looking for options. They're looking for things that they can try that are healthy options. And when the retailer is able to communicate that to the consumers walk away extremely happy, and brands are happy, retailers are happy, everybody's happy, and it's a win-win all the way across the board.
What a great way to build customer loyalty. During a time where you have all these challenges, you can also discover kind of substitute alternatives that have similar attributes, and the customer can find and meet their needs.
Mm-hmm.
Simon, were you going to follow on with something there?
The customer sentiment right now is they're, especially with the seasonal change, they're willing to try new items. And as long as you're communicating those attributes, you're communicating, why you should care about this new item, then they're going to be much more willing and excited about, trying something new and, maybe switching to a new brand or trying a new flavor. But those retailers that are, offering those customers those new and exciting options are really, really setting themselves apart from the rest of the pack out there.
Yeah, let's explore that a little further. So, the ability for a retailer to enhance the consumer's experience, to help them make informed choices about their lifestyle, to find the products that meet their needs. Both of you have referenced attributes a fair amount in this discussion. Could you do a deep dive on kind of how those attributes come to be, and then how they get surfaced and made available for the retailers, so that the retailers can help kind of inform their consumers and help their customers make better choices?
Yeah, so the attributes really are the ingredients that are in the products, and that's really what is driving that performance. So as an example, when you look at the pet market right now, pumpkin is one of those functional ingredients that is driving growth within the pet market. So a lot of retailers are starting to carry more and more pumpkin items and items that have pumpkin in them. And the pet industry typically follows what happens in regional grocery. So regional grocery, they're looking for those more healthy items. They're looking for more natural items. They're looking for items that they can pronounce the ingredients, hence those attributes. They're looking really for stuff that they know what it is and they can understand what it is. Same thing follows through in pet. So that's why those attributes actually are driving the growth. So any of those brands that are adding more of natural ingredients at the top of their list, as opposed to very like at the bottom of the list on their list of ingredients and attributes, they're the ones that are going to be winning a little bit more in my opinion, they're going to be winning a little bit more in the retailer's mind and also in the consumer's mind because they understand it, they get it, they can identify with what those items are.
Yeah, Dan, spins codes all of the items out there so that we can understand, what makes those items tick essentially. So, whether or not an item is gluten-free or vegan or pescatarian, whatever that item is, we code that item so we can understand that item and how it fits into the category. And why this is so crucial now is if you're a retailer and the one vegan pizza that you carry is not available, well, you're not going to grow your sales by just bringing in the next best-selling pizza, right? You actually need to fulfill that consumer need for perhaps a vegan pizza. And so that's where we come in, and that's where we can really help. Lisa touched on it earlier. It's really about making fact-based decisions at a time of crisis. So if you're not getting what you need to serve your customers, really looking at those attributes. Okay, so why does a customer seek out this particular product I can't get? Understanding the makeup of that item and why a customer cares about that item, and then finding a suitable replacement for that item during this time. That's key to success in really growing your business.
And from a retailer perspective, when they understand what's driving the growth within their store, they can now call it out on shelf tags. They can call it out online. So they're able to say, this is vegan friendly, this is keto friendly, this is pescatarian, whatever the case may be, that attribute to those special food diets and dietary needs of their customers. In addition, there may be items that aren't necessarily called out on the packaging that they're gluten-free, but based on the attributes that are in those products, it does match to be either keto friendly or vegetarian. And so those are some other ways that the retailers can increase their kind of the in-store shopping as opposed to just shopping the perimeter, those shelves, because they can tell their customers, oh, by the way, here's where you can find all some other vegan items. Here's where you can find this. And they can call it out on shelf tags. So now the consumers are actually walking the aisles as opposed to being that habitual shopper that just will go in and just, they know where everything is. If they don't have that item, well, then they have to go somewhere else for that particular item. Whereas the more savvy retailer, as Simon referred to them, they're able to hand out, have a flyer, have, shelf tags that are calling out products for them to help increase that shopper basket and give them alternatives within their store.
Yeah, communication of those attributes is so key. We've seen over 18,000 new items launched this year alone. And, those are new items to the consumer. And they need to know why. Why should I care? Why should I put this in my basket? Or if I was buying brand X and this is a new item and it's brand Y, what makes it different? And it's something that, Lisa and I were both at Expo East, and as we talked to the new brands and we talked to the new, the new engaged in conversations about new items, it was really understanding, what white space are you filling out there? What, void within the consumer decision tree are you attempting to fill? And so that's what gets us all excited about the new items and the innovation. And, there's just this great time right now for launching those new items at the shelf. As you only get 3 cases of every 4 that you order, well, there's opportunity truly right now to launch the new.
Yeah, let's explore that for a minute. And during this time when inventories are low, and regional grocers or kind of natural organic stores have the SPINS retail intelligence platform, so they're able to identify suitable alternatives or discover these new items. Is this an opportunity for those sorts of of retailers to be able to compete and win customer loyalty and more return trips? Because it seems like the ability to keep keep their stocks, keep their shelf stocked with innovative items is a key differentiator during a time like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you look at those retailers that are really using the tools that are at their fingertips, and they can go down and they can find out, they can then better communicate to their customers. And so they're able to increase those baskets just by communicating back and forth with their customers. Because the better that they understand what their customers are shopping for, because they're able to now look and see these are the hot selling items in my store. However, X, Y, and Z, I'm having challenges in getting them. So I need to find other options for X, Y, and Z that are similar. And you might get lucky and find one that actually might have those same attributes, hence those ingredients. But it might be a couple cents cheaper. So now they're able to go to their consumer and say, oh, by the way, not only do I carry X, but I'm also carrying, product T. And oh, by the way, it's a couple cents less expensive for you. So, you're able to help the consumer by not only giving them what they want, but giving them what they want at a slightly lesser price. So their chances are probably going to spend more within that retailer. And then that consumer is going to tell other people, and it just kind of goes round robin.
Yeah, Dan, I was in 5 different stores in the last 2 days, and I saw different levels of in-stock position, ranging from really good to really bad. And the biggest difference between, the stores that were in great shape versus the stores that were in not so great shape really came down to, I have to say, the amount of new tags out on the shelf at the shelf edge, whether or not they were screaming out new, those were the items that were filling in perhaps the holes that existed from the items that they weren't getting. Call it the tale of two retailers, the one that's really adopting, who's embraced this, next normal that we're in, and bringing in the new and exciting. Perhaps taking a chance, but on a new item. But as Lisa said earlier, you can make fact-based decisions and really look into our innovation database and understand how are those new items performing. So before you take a chance on something totally out there, understanding how it fits into the category and how it can help you be successful.
So Lisa, when a retailer is interested in getting started with spins, what does the process look like? Could you talk us through that?
Yeah, it's super, super easy. We really do a lot of the heavy lifting per se for our retailers. It's really about a 20-minute conversation, and then we formulate an agreement and we do the next steps moving forward from there. And the retailer gets onboarded and everything, and then they'll have full access to all of the spins tools right at their fingertips. And again, it's like 3 to 5 clicks for them to be able to access any given report. They save those reports and then they can refresh them on an ongoing basis. We really do a phenomenal job of making it super easy for our spins partners.
Great. Thanks, Lisa.
All right. So what I'm seeing out there, retailers that are working with spins truly have a leg up on the competition. And it's because they're able to make those quick, fact-based decisions that are really helping them navigate through these tight times with the supply chain. Whether you're trying to fulfill customers' needs or really just trying to solve in-stock position issues. Spins is really here to help you accelerate your growth through the fourth quarter and really get you ready for the next year when we hit January and everybody really comes back to health and wellness as a focus.
Great. Well, thank you, Lisa. and Simon for the time today and talking about how kind of Spins and its retail intelligence and product intelligence and attributes help power innovation and discovery for retailers.
All right. Thank you, everybody.